Welcome to the Bare Metal Cybersysm Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. Effective communication is essential to the success of any information security program because it ensures that stakeholders remain informed about risks, program performance, and evolving priorities. When security leaders communicate consistently and transparently, it builds credibility and trust between the security function and the broader business. These communications also help ensure that documentation is in place for audit readiness and regulatory compliance, reducing the burden of last-minute preparation. Clear reporting enables alignment between technical operations and the organization's larger strategic objectives, ensuring that everyone is working toward common goals. Perhaps most importantly, well-structured communication fosters accountability by making security decisions and their consequences visible across the organization. To succeed in communicating security information effectively, organizations must first identify their audiences. At the highest level, executive leadership and board members require tailored insights to inform governance and risk oversight. Business unit managers and operational leaders are key recipients as they support the implementation of controls and influence day-to-day risk exposure. IT and security professionals form another essential audience, as they are responsible for executing and maintaining many of the program's technical elements. Legal, compliance, and audit teams must also be kept informed to ensure regulatory alignment and readiness. Finally, vendors and third parties with security responsibilities must receive updates relevant to their roles to support shared accountability and coordination. Messages must be tailored based on the audience's role, perspective, and need for detail. Executives should receive high-level insights focused on risk, impact, strategic implications, and trend analysis to support informed decision-making. For business units, communications should emphasize threats specific to their operations, performance indicators tied to their responsibilities, and any required action. Technical teams benefit from more granular updates covering control, implementation status, test results, and feedback on incident response efforts. Audit and compliance teams should receive detailed information about policy adherence, exception handling, and remediation efforts. Across all audiences, the use of clear language and supporting visuals is important. Technical jargon should be avoided when communicating with non-technical stakeholders, and data should be presented in an accessible format. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Reporting content must be comprehensive and strategically aligned, covering all relevant dimensions of the security program. High-level summaries should outline the organization's current risk posture and highlight the top risks being tracked. Control effectiveness assessments and recent audit results should be shared to reflect operational performance. Incident reports must include trend data and key lessons learned to inform future preparedness. Compliance reporting should detail adherence to internal policies as well as external regulatory requirements. Additional updates should cover progress on security initiatives, roadmap milestones, and resource requirements, ensuring that leadership remains engaged in supporting the program's success. Communications must follow a deliberate cadence and use appropriate channels based on the audience and the nature of the content. Executive dashboards and summaries are typically shared on a monthly or quarterly basis, aligned with governance cycles. Operational teams benefit from more frequent touchpoints, such as bi-weekly or monthly meetings, focused on task status and coordination. Governance committees should receive structured reports in alignment with program review timelines and risk management processes. Broader communications can be delivered through email digests, internal portals, or governance platforms to ensure visibility across departments. Incident communication must follow escalation protocols and should occur in real time as necessary to keep stakeholders informed during crises. Security metrics are central to effective reporting and should reflect both program health and organizational risk exposure. Key performance indicators must be used to measure progress on goals such as risk reduction, control implementation success, and the impact of awareness initiatives. Key risk indicators should be tracked to detect and highlight areas where threats are increasing or vulnerabilities are emerging. Remediation timelines, compliance rates, and exception trends should also be monitored and reported. By presenting this data over time, organizations can support long-term planning and continuous improvement. Visual dashboards are particularly effective for this purpose, as they help stakeholders quickly interpret complex information and focus on areas that need attention. When incidents or crises occur, communication becomes even more critical and must follow a well-defined process. Pre-established notification protocols should be used to ensure that messages reach the right people in the correct sequence. Messaging must remain consistent, timely, and clear, especially when pressure and uncertainty are high. All communications should be aligned with legal guidance, public relations planning, and executive briefings to avoid confusion or contradiction. Messages must focus on known facts, the current status of containment efforts, and clear next steps for response and recovery. Updates should be provided at regular intervals until the incident is fully resolved, keeping all stakeholders aligned and informed. Oversight communication is an ongoing responsibility and a cornerstone of governance for the Information Security Program. Risk, audit, and compliance committees must receive regular updates to evaluate program effectiveness and fulfill oversight obligations. Reports should be formatted to match the organization's governance structures, ensuring clarity and consistency. High-impact risks, recurring control failures, or significant compliance gaps should be escalated promptly to drive corrective action. Communication must also include documentation of decisions made in response to reported findings, supporting traceability and accountability. These reporting cycles often inform broader strategic realignment, making them key inputs for program evolution and resource planning. Despite its importance, security communication presents several challenges that must be addressed proactively. Overuse of technical terminology can make messages unclear and inaccessible, especially for non-specialist audiences. When communication becomes too frequent, too long, or unfocused, stakeholders may disengage or misinterpret key points. Discrepancies in data across tools or departments can undermine the credibility of reporting efforts. Tone also matters. A mismatch between urgency, content, and delivery can damage the effectiveness of even accurate messages. Finally, delays in communication, or reactive responses rather than planned updates, can erode stakeholder trust and reduce support for future initiatives. Security communication should be treated as a core discipline, subject to continuous evaluation and improvement. Feedback should be regularly collected from recipients to assess whether messages are clear, timely, and useful. The effectiveness of reporting formats and channels should be reviewed periodically to identify areas for enhancement. Templates, visuals, and message delivery methods should be updated to reflect evolving needs and available technology. As the organization's goals, threat landscape, and metrics evolve, those changes must be integrated into communication plans. Above all, communication should be viewed as a strategic security capability, one that shapes perception, drives decisions, and enables the entire program to function with transparency and purpose. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal CyberSysm Prepcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com.